All right, you guys. Thank you for being here for our Thursday morning virtual coffees. For those of you who have never met me before, my name is Debbie Morrow. I founded the Real Estate Agent Referral Network and Facebook group about 4 years ago. We're coming up on 4 years. My partner Ray and I are here. Ray, say hi.
Hello, hello.
And we run the Facebook group and our agent impact group. And we're so happy to have you guys here on Thursday mornings for our mastermind. This week, our special guest is Brandon Buklich. Did I say that right, Brandon?
Nailed it, Debbie. Thank you. Buklich.
Woohoo! Uh, Casey says it wrong every time, but he also says my last name wrong every time. So we're not going to
That's all
hold
right.
that against him.
Yes.
Um, so Brandon is we have a mutual friend, Casey, who is my business coach. And Casey introduced me to Brandon because of his work in the real estate world. He works mostly with investors and has built a great business that way. So um, I'm just going to turn the call over to Brandon. Brandon, please introduce yourself and tell us what you do. And actually, I'm gonna confess that Ray is much better at interviewing people than I am. So I'm gonna actually turn the mic over to the two of you.
Perfect. I'll follow Ray's lead. But yes, just a refresh. I've been licensed for about 14 years in Washington State. I serve the Seattle, Tacoma greater area, and kind of got into it just because of property management. I bought a property management business. I was going to do that and just own rentals and manage my own rentals and other people's rentals. And after a few years of just feeling like crapped on by tenants and owners week after week, I was done. And I liked the brokerage side. So I committed to that in about 2014 and hopped around to a few very famous companies. And then I went to a boutique one that changed my whole business model, my mindset, everything in 2020-ish, right around the end of 2019, 2020, and focused on investors. And so I was tired of chasing the same residential leads that a lot of agents do. I was an investor myself. I like working with investors. I like multifamily. I thought, man, why am I not working that space? So Ray, that's kind of how I got to my company now is multifamily properties. It's very specific. My niche I've developed since 2020 is very specific. I know my avatar very well. And so I'm trying to get more into that commercial, though, that 5 units and up, and say that I serve multifamily investors from the 2 to 20 space or 20 to 30 space. I don't really have any interest in doing 300 unit apartment building deals. That's not my expertise. So
I love it, Brandon. Thank you for sharing. So normally, one of the things that I would start with is why real estate, right? You gave us a little bit of a breakdown on that. But I guess the lane that you've chosen, I understand how you got there, but why? Why is this your focus at the end of the day, right? Like, what do you see 5 years, 10 years, 20 years out that you're like, okay, this is the lane I need to be in to get where I need to go?
okay, and I don't want to say I'm not bashing any sort of niches for anybody else or anybody's mindset on real estate. We all have heard what's going on in the news with lawsuits, and at least in our MLS, our Northwest multiple is one of the largest in the country. We have 33,000 brokers. We call brokers in Washington. 33,000. We have three licensed people for every side of a deal. It's ridiculous. And around 2019, I just looked around and felt like we are all chasing the same Zillow leads, realtor leads, and I'm wasting money on all kinds of different platforms to try and get some cold buyer lead that doesn't even know me, right? Or a seller that doesn't even know me to call Brandon and say I'm ready to sell my house. It just for me that wasn't working. Might work great for other people, and I am a total introvert, so I don't do open houses. I don't cold call expireds, canceled, none of that. So I had to find what worked for me, right? And again, going back to wait, I'm an investor, and I helped a couple people do small duplexes or triplexes. And then my friend opened up this boutique brokerage that was focused on all brokers are to be investors. All his brokers were to be investors. We were going to work with investors. He was going to build out a call center just focusing on data of the small multifamily that CoStar ignores, the 2, 3, 4 unit properties. Then COVID hit, and my friend, the owner of this company, was sick of Washington, moved to Texas, and it all kind of imploded from there. But at the time, he had hired me to recruit and train all these new brokers that were going to be also investors. And so I came up with a 5-week onboarding program. And after a while, I have an assistant, Rebecca, who's fantastic. I would always joke to her, well, chalk this up to 144, items in the book that I'm going to write someday about why you're an incompetent or unprofessional agent. And so she's like, we need to put this training into a book. You already have it laid out pretty much. And so that's how I got into working with investors. And that's why I did the book, because I'm not trying to make millions from that. I just hope if I change one investor or agent's broker's life with that, I see some very experienced people here like Jerry. He's probably could contribute some good nuggets to my book if I would have known him beforehand. But it's also not a book on how to make 7 figures in real estate. There's enough books out there on that. And I just want to help people become more professional, more competent. So helps us all.
So if you're at zero today and you're a residential agent doing residential transactions, what's the first place you start?
Find your niche. I don't care if it's luxury. I don't care if it's condos, waterfront, townhomes in a certain community. Find that niche and become that expert. And this is all come from Casey, who pushed me, being, again, the introvert, saying, do videos. Will you please start doing videos? So I did a YouTube channel. I put that out there. It doesn't have a ton of followers or views, but people do watch it, and it's going to be up there for people to watch later. And when I focus my niche on multifamily, I'm not kidding. Like, that's when things really just started to keep going up. So find a niche and just be that expert.
So Brandon, was it the 2 steps back, 5 steps forward theory, or was it less is more? Like, what was that transition like, right? Or did it just turn on for you?
It just slowly ramped up, Ray. Honestly, I was a member of Bigger Pockets. That's a website. I don't know if any of you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was on there, and as a pro member, you would get free. This is back when they were giving us agents free leads. People would reach out, hey, I want to find an agent in the area, and I know what they were doing. They were kind of grooming us to start billing us for leads, right? And I would make connections on there. I would engage on the forum in there, and it's full of new investors. You're not going to meet some savvy big investor with 2,000 units on there. There's syndicators on there and stuff, but it's really honed for the smaller investors, the newbies. And I felt I could contribute and add value to people, not just salesy. And I'm not a salesman. I say I'm a consultant or advisor. I apologize if anybody calls themselves a salesman in real estate, but I do not sell people real estate. I try to consult or advise them. And that was my contribution on Bigger Pockets. And then they started charging, and then the leads started getting even more. And now a good portion of my business comes from Bigger Pockets for sure, and referrals.
So are you on any other sites like Connected Investors or LoopNet or CoStar? Are you doing any engagement on those sites, or just using those tools?
I'm using the CoStar and LoopNet tools, but I'm not really on those. And I really am only on Bigger Pockets. That's really it. I don't pay for leads anywhere else. Anywhere.
Okay. So you chose your niche in the multifamily space. That's your lane. That's what you're crushing right now and growing. What does your daily schedule look like when you're focusing your attention on that?
So I look at my board and I'm like, who can I serve today that's up there still looking for properties, or, prepping other listings, a 15 unit and a duplex and things like that. But I'm looking, who can I pair deals with today? That's always the goal, right? I mean, I don't make tons and tons of calls. I follow the old Keller Williams 36 touch plan pretty much, where people are getting emails, calls, cards, you name it, coffee invites, lunch invites. I do try to follow that as much as I can. People are on email campaigns, they're on card campaigns and things like that. But I really am getting through the email, any hot topic things of an active transaction I've got to put out fires for in the morning. And then from there, I'm kind of looking through I have searches set up for every single 2 units and above up to $10 million in 5 counties that I watch in Western Washington, which are Snohomish, King, Pierce, Thurston, and Kitsap. Those are the 5 that surround kind of the Puget Sound, we call it here in Washington. And I've got searches set up for all those counties, duplexes, triplexes, and above, up to $10 million. And I check everything that's gone active, pending, and sold. And I want to see who's doing those deals. I want to know who my competition is too. And which ones are going all cash, what kind of financing is going, so all that stuff. I want to know everything about my market. So when people ask me, are you the expert? I'm like, yes. I don't think there's anybody else tracking this stuff as much as I am in my area.
So even if you're a solo agent, you still have a team, right? So what does this team look like to support you in helping you search deals, get deals done, creative financing, get stuff across the finish line? Can you build that out for us?
Yes, I I'm kind of resisting the whole Keller Williams model that teaches, to become a CEO and then you have a buyer broker and a listing agent and all this stuff.
Sure.
I like my level of business. I obviously want to do more, but I don't really. I've managed people and I've had businesses like I played with Casey before. If we've had 100 employees, I don't want 100 employees ever again. I don't even want 5 employees ever again. I have one solid assistant, Rebecca, I hired her as my first admin. Then I gave her marketing. Then I told her to get licensed. So now she's my licensed assistant as well. So she could do showings, she can write offers and things like that. And right now I'm starting to feel that we're going to need to start outsourcing more of the marketing to take that off her plate, or more of the admin and all that kind of VA stuff that could needs to be transitioned off. But she and I rock it. I do have another backup buddy of mine. He's at another brokerage, and I use him when I'm sick, on vacation, or whatever like that. But I like being the point man on everything with my clients. 50% of my business is listings, and 50% are work with buyers. And it's very specific because I like to know the mindset of both sides. I feel that helps me when I work with a seller. I know that buyer mindset. When I work with a buyer, I know that seller mindset. So it's very intentional.
Brandon, in a vertical market, being real estate full of shiny objects, what pulls you forward to keep you focused?
Ignoring the shiny objects. Yes, we're pitched. Holy crap, aren't we pitched so many different tools and platforms on a daily basis? I mean, and I've tried. Trust me, Ray. I've tried Zillow, Realtor, Ylopo, Street Text. I mean, I could go on and on about the things I've tried my career as a residential focused agent. But I just stay in my lane. I try to really tune out the noise too. Going back, if I could have started video and social media and not resisted that much sooner, I'd probably be twice as much in my business. Just not a fan of social media, and I'm old, I'm 52. I'd like to retire in about 10 years. I have the option to retire in 10 years. So I don't really want to take on all this new AI tools and stuff just yet. I know what I have works. I keep hiring coaches, right? Right now I have 2 different coaches that I'm working with. And I believe in that. I believe in personal development. I know I don't know everything about real estate, even though writing a book, I'm not God's gift to real estate. I'm constantly learning. And I know that people have good nuggets, whether in books or coaching, to give me that helps me with my business. And then also I share with other brokers that I meet. So.
Right. So 2 things. As a self-identified introvert, how do you cut out the noise? Right. That's number one, because there is a lot of noise.
Boy, I tell people, if I can make a good living in real estate and you're an extrovert, you will crush it. Like, you will just do fantastic. So if you love talking to people, I have a friend, Debbie, that's a broker in Colorado Springs. Actually, I've been out there. That guy is so social. He'll go to a bar and he'll talk to anybody around him about anything in real estate. Those guys do very well. I don't talk to strangers really that much when I'm out and about. The noise, Ray, I don't know what you're speaking to specifically, if it's just the sales pitches we get as agents, but to me, I love the one-on-ones. I love inviting clients to coffee, lunches, beers. I Sometimes I do a VIP event for my A-list clients. It's a happy hour kind of thing, and I invite 15 to 20 of just those VIP clients. And I kind of can socialize, but I'm telling you, I am mentally exhausted after that. I go home, I'm on the couch, I'm done, because that was just 2-3 hours of absolute socializing that drains me.
Yeah. The second thing that I want to say is, like, 52 is not even halftime, according to medical science and technology, right? Like, we're all going to live till 120 plus. So you're not even in the halftime, Brandon.
I know, but I don't want to work at 120. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I have big,
100% agree with that. Yeah.
big
Yeah. There
plans to
needs to be a
retire.
means to the end, or ends to the mean, whatever that quote is.
Yes.
So thinking about that then, right? Like, one of the things that I drive is be event centric, right? If you want to be the authority, if you want to build a brand in your community and you can bring people together, not even about real estate, right? Like, so I run wellness clinics. I run financial literacy workshops with Therese and Debbie that are on here. And we do all these other things to just bring people together, right? And give back to the community, both on a national scale and super local here in Chicagoland, where I live. So doing that, but even as an introvert, like you said, you're exhausted, but there's so much success in that when you can bring people together, especially when you can do it consistently. How did you get started doing that? Like, what is the first step for anybody that may be scared to jump in or turn something like that on?
to turn the socializing aspect on, you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, and just
You
to
just
do
have
it,
you
like,
the
yeah, to plan
coaching.
an event.
Yes, the coaching that pushed me. I had a good coach back a long time ago with Bold, Keller Williams Bold program. His name was Brad, and he would call me out on all. It's like, okay, Brand, you have three ways to get leads. You can buy leads, you can hunt for leads, which are free, or you can pay for leads. You're a newer agent, not making a lot of money. You're not going to pay for leads. You don't want to sit around and wait for leads. So your only option is to hunt. And how do you hunt? You go network with people, you go knock on doors, you go, and I tried all that stuff, and I would realize I didn't like that, so I had to find something else. So all that kind of rave just focused me to try a different lane that I was comfortable with. I know we have to kind of break out of our comfort zone. We tell people that all the time, right? When we're being coached or coaching people, you got to break out of your comfort zone to try new things, because that's how you break out. And that's when the Casey, pushed me to do the video. I still to this day don't like doing videos, but I know I have to do them. I know it's just part of providing value to people that are watching multifamily and investing in my area. And so my video tours get the most great feedback that I get. Someone will send me a text, or I'll go have coffee with them. They're like, "Oh, I just watched you do that tour of that duplex in Puyallup." And like, so people are watching and they like that kind of stuff. So that's just value. That's not selling anything. So,
Well, we appreciate you having your camera on, so thank you for that.
Hey,
oh,
Ray, can I
Yeah.
interject just for 1 minute, because Denise put a question in here, and I thought you were the best person to answer this. Can you have Brandon talk about your 3 Cs and how that works with the rated conversion? And then she also asked if you're part of our referral directory. And so I don't know that Brandon signed up for that yet, but I just put the link in the chat. So Brandon can be in our referral directory. Denise does commercial in Florida, and so maybe she has a referral to send you. I don't know.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
anyhow, Ray, go ahead. 3 Cs.
Sure. So Brandon, one of the articles I wrote was called the 3 Cs, and it was essentially, right, the sales cycle or the formula for any business or its client cycle. And that is number one, conversation, number two, connection, number three, conversion, right? With conversation being what it is, connection being what it is, and conversion being a whole bunch of things: a new lead in your database, a transaction, a listing, a sale, like whatever that first step of conversion is, because that's where it all starts. Thinking about that and how you've modeled your business over the years, what are some things, and Denise, I don't know like what you're exactly looking for, but if you were to take the 3 Cs and give somebody a couple pointers for how they can integrate that and how that can be more of a daily duty in their business, what would that be?
I think you're right, Ray. That's great, good stuff. I tell people, newer agents that I was coaching to, your focus is to have a conversation with somebody about real estate every day. Just have one genuine, non-salesy conversation about real estate. I don't care what it is. It's talking about land, talking about vacation rental somewhere. Just sparking a conversation and talking, not salesy again. I'm just not. I'm so anti-salesy, and pressure sales. So, um, I just encourage people to have conversations every day. And that's, I've got another friend and a broker that's struggling right now. Like the market's crushing them because they focus so much on just residential. And he's sitting around, he's going broke. And I'm like, man, get in your car, start sitting at some open houses. At least somebody might walk through the door that you can have a conversation with, right? Nobody's going to come knocking on your door when you're at home, sitting behind your computer or sending a text, to have a conversation. Go out, put yourself out there. And so that's always the big thing. Have one good conversation with somebody, not a comment on the Facebook post. I'm talking about a genuine on the phone or in-person conversation about real estate.
So Brandon, let me ask you, why do you think people are afraid to have conversations?
Man, I don't know. Even Rebecca, my assistant, like she's a text machine. And she'll say, well, I texted them twice. I'm like, Rebecca, pick up the phone, call them and find out what the answer is, right? So I think it's a generational thing too. And most people don't even answer the phone anymore. So you can call them and it still goes straight to voicemail. It says, or you can send me a text. That's what every agent I call ever always says. Go ahead, leave me a voicemail or send me a text. Mine says that now too, because I know everyone wants us to send a text. But being an introvert, I still like to have conversations with people one-on-one. That's my favorite.
So Denise shot me a message here. I think what she was looking for from this is, what is your sales cycle? So she started focusing on commercial real estate.
Okay.
With a combination of multifamily buildings, large scale, 100 units and up, and or actual commercial real estate, strip malls, industrial multi-use facilities. So what is your average sales cycle? I think that's what she's actually looking for.
Okay, so it's about, I would say, 6 months. Is that what you're talking about? For
Yep.
when
Yep.
I get a lead to when I convert them?
Yep.
Sometimes I get super lucky. This one I got under contract this week. I'm not kidding. They were ready to go. 2 weeks we were under contract. So that is very, very rare. I have some clients I've been working for nearly 2 years with. So, but I say 6 months. And here's how it all starts. The lead comes in, I hit him with an email and a text right away. And it's a default thing. It has a little link to my intro video on YouTube, who I am, why I'm an investor-friendly agent, trademark, which I'm trademarking. And then I hit him with text, and both of those have my calendar link. And I say, please, let's set up a brief introductory call to get to know one another real quick and see where you're coming from. They book that 15-minute call. That's my chance to suss them out. Like, is this person serious? What do they have? And I kind of just and let them answer questions about me and my background. I want them to, I know they're vetting other brokers, right? So we have a quick conversation. Hey, where do you live? Where are you from? I know my avatar very, very well on Bigger Pockets. I can tell you that. They are millennials. They are either from East Indian or Asian. They work in one of 4 tech companies, Meta, Facebook, Amazon, Google. They have 100 to 250,000 in cash, and they want to replace the W-2 income with passive income in real estate. I mean, that's who calls me and wants to get going. So I already know that pretty much when I see the lead coming through or whatever, most of 90% of them. Have that introductory call, see where they're coming from. If they're serious or I can help them, I go, great. Step 2 is circle back with me. Let's do a new client consultation Zoom. That's a 1-hour Zoom I do for free, no strings. If I'm not the right broker after that, no hard feelings. But I walk them through the market, set expectations of working together, and tell them I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me at that point, because I only have so much bandwidth for clients, and I need to make sure I'm committing my time and my energy, my efforts to people that are actually going to transact down the road at some point. I don't expect it next month or even 2 months. I tell them it's probably 6 months to a year. And then we do a sample offer review Zoom, and then we get going. They get pre-approved, or they get the lending line up if it's a commercial deal, right? If we're kind of starting to shop some bigger deals. And that's kind of that sales cycle. Then we start analyzing deals, making offers, and all that stuff. I try to handhold them as much as possible through the process.
Okay, so 2 things. Brittany asked, how do you determine your unique value position? And I want to pair that with you like really narrow down, this is my avatar, right? This is who calls me. Now, I understand you're in Washington. I also understand Microsoft, Amazon, these companies are there, right? Yep. So it is tech heavy, and I get all of that. For everybody else on here, though, pairing unique value proposition with avatar, like what is a formula that you would prescribe knowing what you know now versus when you got started years ago?
So I think you have to understand the market, right? What's the inventory like? What are people listening to? And again, Bigger Pockets is pushing this whole house hacking model, burrs, flips, and things like that. Lots of different strategies. My value proposition is there is not another, I know there's not another agent that is tracking the smaller multifamily as closely as I am in Western Washington and actually walks the talk. I'm not just here selling you multifamily. I actually own multifamily. I know what it is like. I've had a PM business. I know what it's like to be a landlord and own multifamily. And that's my goals to keep growing that. So I tell the commercial guys, the Marcus Millichaps, the CB Richard Ellis, all those, they watch 5 units above for the most part. They're not really focused on that smaller stuff. And most residential realtors don't focus on small multifamily. Yeah, they sell Uncle Bob's duplex when Uncle Bob calls them and says, I need to sell my duplex. And I can tell right away that they're a regular residential, the way they market it and the way that they handle that listing, because you can just tell they're not very experienced with it. So I tell them about my experience, knowing the market, knowing the data. What was that? Oh, I thought I heard a question.
I'm grabbing your YouTube channel to drop in the chat so everybody can see it. Sorry, guys.
So anyway, then the leads just kind of helped me form that avatar. It wasn't my brilliant idea. It was naturally, organically coming to me. And then I noticed this obvious trend of that avatar. And that's why I can speak to it so clearly, Ray, because after 4 or 5 years now of focusing on that niche and getting those leads from Bigger Pockets, that's how I know that.
Okay.
So I guess for a newer agent is just find the people you want to work with too, right? A lot of coaches will say, what do you have in common with people? What can, on the value proposition, I have a client, another buddy that's in real estate that wants to work with investors, but he doesn't own a single rental himself. I'm like, well, see, that's going to be a problem. That's really going to be a problem. You need to start speaking like you are an investor. You don't have to own one, but at least if you say you're actively looking or trying to invest, at least that puts you in that lane. But if you're just another real estate agent that can help you buy and sell homes for anybody, that's not going to get linked with investors.
I love it. Debbie, I know we're at half of the hour. Do you want to go into a quick Q&A and then breakout rooms? What do you want to do?
Yes, let's go ahead and say, I think we've answered quite a few of the questions. Does anyone have a specific question for Brandon? You
So
can unmute yourself.
let me ask this public group a question. Who here wants to be an investor agent or wants to work with investors? Raise your hand. Anybody? Okay, Tom. Tom, what are questions that you would have for Brandon? Don't forget to unmute.
Well, I support the investor group, and what we have is a wealth building program that also gives them access to leveraging their liquidity. So I'm in a space that is focused. We have a niche too, focused on real estate investors, and we do that because they basically have to create their own their own retirement, their own nest egg. And so we try to provide that, and then we try to provide them help to give them the leverage they need to take advantage of opportunities.
Excellent. So, so Tom is really someone who would be a good partner for Brandon as far as something like providing, you guys have the same clients. So a lot of it is really about finding partners who have the same avatar that you have, that you guys can share clients with. And I think my buddy Mitchell, where did you just, Mitchell, you raised your hand and said you wanted to work with investors. Do you specifically have any questions for Brandon? I know he's on his phone, so it's a little bit harder to find the unmute.
Yeah, no questions necessarily. I've worked with a couple in the past. It's more so just something I'm trying to keep building, and more so be outlook questions versus specific, how do I do it questions, like where, especially in Colorado, is our investment or landlord rules are changing every day, and just kind of some things like that. So more outlook based versus, how do I do it based.
Yeah, Washington is also a very landlord-friendly state. I'm sorry, tenant-friendly state, and it's ever since COVID, it's even worse. And there's cities like Seattle, Tacoma that are enacting their own ordinances that make it even more challenging to be landlords. So I flipped that, and I started doing some marketing last year. I just was testing some postcards to tired landlords in Tacoma when they passed this new ordinance that was just nuts. And I said, have you followed Tacoma Measure 1? Are you sick of this crap? Time to sell and move your money to another state or something else. I can help with that kind of thing. So you can leverage all that negativity into something that may help you, get listings, because people want to get out of the area. But I know
that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, because honestly, I was starting to get frustrated. This state is killing me. If this state was landlord friendly, I would probably triple my business overnight. But I know that people are hesitant because of they hear all the crazy West Coast kind of stuff. It's California, Oregon, Washington, all very tenant friendly. So you have to, and I speak honestly. I have people reach out like they want to invest in Seattle. I'm like, do you know the first thing about owning in Seattle? No. Okay, well, first step is to learn their local landlord tenant laws, and that'll scare the crap out of you. Now I know millionaires and billionaires still investing all day long in Seattle because strong rents, strong jobs, strong appreciation. They're going to manage that risk. But the small and pop landlord, we can't afford it. I tell them there's plenty of other great areas in the Puget Sound to invest. Let's stay out of Seattle. Okay. I still own in Tacoma. I'm not going to probably buy any more in Tacoma, but I'm going to manage that risk. So.
Yeah, I've had thoughts of doing a similar thing. Like one of the ones that we just passed in Colorado was, not being able to require more than two 2 months, or not 2 months, 2 times the monthly rent and income, which is bizarre. It's just bad finance, but that's my own personal opinion. But you scroll these rentals that are being managed by just single owners. They're saying we want 2.5, 3 times. I'm like, you are just opening yourself up for a lawsuit right now, and you have no clue. But because it wasn't really made public. I mean, some of my investors didn't even know that path either. So like
They don't.
there's a lot of spots to add value there. So I mean,
It's our job to educate
good way
them.
to reach out. Yeah.
Yep.
Trina, did you have a question?
I did. I was just wondering if he could tell us, what advice would you give to somebody to a realtor who has primarily been residential with a little bit of commercial, in transitioning to the multifamily space?
So you just kind of dive in, and I don't know, you're in Arizona. I don't know what you have, but we have up here like our Northwest multiple, which is for basically most of the residential side, even though you can put commercial listings in there. But then we have our commercial MLS, SIBA, where that's all the big commercial brokers who do office and retail and stuff. I'm part of both, and I attend courses and webinars with SIBA because I just self-learn, and I also recently hired a coach out of Florida who specializes in multifamily to help me elevate that game and dial in a new CRM that's going to be full of very, very specific data that now I can speak more of just a consultant, but as an expert in the area. So I would say if you want to get it, you just have to start knowing the market, knowing the data, and then knowing who's trading those deals. There's a lot of public information in Washington. I don't know about Arizona, but I can look up, an owner's name, their mailing address, and all that stuff. These days you can skip trace their phone number for very cheap and actually speak to somebody. So if you find a lane that you like for me, it was multifamily. Maybe for commercial view, it's, I don't know, self-storage. You really just got to start reading about self-storage, going to self-storage events, network with self-storage owners, talk to other self-storage brokers, and dive in. So
thank you. And while I've done some commercial, I'd really like to get into the multifamily space, and that's kind of my part of
I'm
that.
happy to help.
My retirement plan, because
Email me.
I also would like to retire in 10 years, and we're the same age. So
Hey, and just to let everybody know, like I do very, very little in stock. I want to be a stockbroker, but I have very little in equity investments because I've had stock go to zero. My real estate will never go to zero. It could burn to the ground. I have insurance. I own the land. I don't have to watch it every week, every month. Like I am all in on multifamily. I want cash flow to supplement my retirement, not $2 million saved up in cash that I'm going to deplete for the next 30 years when I'm 90 or whatever.
thank you.
I love it.
Excellent. Okay, you guys, I just want to make mention that Brandon said email him. So Rebecca, his assistant, put his email address in the chat. Make sure that everyone is dropping your email, your contact information in the chat so that we can follow up with you in the future. We are going to go into breakout rooms. Brandon, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have one? Thank you. What is that word I'm looking for, Ray?
Question.
Icebreaker
Icebreaker,
question for the breakout room.
Can you give me an example? What kind of icebreaker question?
Okay, I tell you what, Ray, give us the first one, and Brandis, you can give us the second one.
Okay.
Yeah, the first question is, what do you know about multifamily in your community?
There you go. All right, here we go. Going into the breakout rooms now. Hey, you guys, we're in breakout rooms. All right, you guys, thank you so much for everyone for being here. Thank you, Brandon, for sharing all of your wisdom and experience with us on working with multifamily and investors. If you have not already dropped your information in the chat, please do so so that everyone can save it. Oh, look, Ray, will you do your thing where you drop? Yeah, for everyone who is on a computer, if you click the three little dots and hit save chat, it'll do it. Ray is going to, he just did, saved it as a file. For those of you who are on your phone and can't save the chat that way, Ray saved the file for you, so you can save it through that file. Keep in mind, I know we're 3 minutes over, so I'm going to wrap this up quickly. We do this every Thursday morning, so I hope you enjoyed being here with us this Thursday, and we'll come back next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. Save the link because it'll be exactly the same link you use to join again next week. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Brandon. Bye, everyone. Have a great, fantastic weekend. It's a holiday coming up for some of us.
Right, Miss
Not
Peggy.
me.
Have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.